When them first explorers crossed the wide Missouri in the early 1800s, they packed what they'd always known, them long, graceful Pennsylvania rifles that had served 'em well back in the timbered hollows of the East. Delicate things they were, with slender barrels and medium bores that could drop a whitetail clean at 100 paces. But the West had other ideas about what a man needed to survive. "These fancy Eastern pieces ain't worth a plug nickel out here," one grizzled mountain man reportedly declared after his first encounter with a charging grizzly. "A .40 caliber ball just makes 'em madder." The problem became clear mighty quick. Them Pennsylvania rifles, beautiful as they were, just couldn't handle what the West threw at a man. A silverback grizzly weighed near half a ton and had a hide thick as saddle leather. Buffalo herds stretched to the horizon, each beast massive and ornery. Even the elk stood taller and tougher than anything back east. A frontiersman needed serious medicine in his powder horn, not the light loads them Eastern rifles favored. And there was another matter entirely. "Try swinging one of them long-barreled contraptions from horseback," an old trapper once remarked. "You'll poke your horse's eye out before you draw a bead on anything worth shooting." Western travel meant horseback travel. A man needed a gun built stouter, heavier, and shorter, something that wouldn't snap in half when his mount stumbled in a prairie dog hole, or when he used the barrel to lever himself up a rocky slope. Enter the plains rifle. These workhorses of the frontier changed everything. Stockier and less fancy than their eastern cousins, plains rifles packed bores of .50 caliber and larger, serious stopping power for serious game. Early models kept the full-length stocks of Eastern tradition, but gunsmiths soon discovered that a half-stock design proved ideal for the rough-and-tumble Western life. The Hawken brothers of St. Louis, Missouri, became legendary for their half-stock rifles. Jacob and Samuel Hawken understood what mountain men needed, and they built guns that could take whatever the wilderness dished out. Their rifles became the standard from the 1820s clear through the 1860s and beyond. If you packed a Hawken, you packed quality, and probably stayed alive longer for it. A Hawken rifle was worth 3 horses, 2 good mules, or a season's worth of beaver pelts, one Fur Trader's Journal recorded, and cheap at the price, considering it might save your hair. Today, an authentic-looking reproduction of them classic half-stock plains rifles can run a black powder enthusiast well into 4 figures. Serious money for most folks. But there's good news for them wanting to experience frontier firepower without mortgaging the homestead. Lyman's Great Plains rifle offers what old-timers would have called an honest proposition, coming in under $800 while delivering authentic Hawken-style quality. Available in both flintlock and percussion ignition, this replica has been produced since 1981 and stays true to the design that conquered the West. "This ain't no wall hanger," one modern frontiersman might say. Like the originals, this gun is functional. The Great Plains rifle hefts at 11.6 pounds, substantial weight that soaks up recoil and steadies your aim when that shot counts. She's offered in 2 calibers that made history, .50 or .54. Whether you favor flintlock or percussion cap, right-handed or left-handed shooting, Lyman's got you covered. The 32-inch octagonal barrel wears a non-glossy blue finish. None of that modern shine that spook game or catch sunlight at the wrong moment. Rifled with a 1 in 60-inch twist, she's built for patched round ball shooting, just like the originals. The hooked breech allows quick dismounting from the handsome dark walnut half-stock, which sports a brass-tipped hardwood ramrod. That beaver-tailed cheek rest sits just right, any shooter would tell you. And thank God it wasn't covered in the glossy poly-whatever finish found on contemporary firearms. The rifle features a steel toe plate, protection that many economical front stuffers skip, but which saved many an original from damage when leaned against rocks or dropped in haste. The trigger guard follows that distinctive 19th century Hawken pattern that feels natural in a man's grip. The underbarrel rib is sweated on, not screwed. Proper old-time gunsmithing. The percussion models sport an old-style snail with a clean-out screw for when things get fouled up. The lock plate stays simple and unadorned, true Hawken type, using a reliable coil spring lock and double-set triggers that let you feather off a shot when precision matters. Them set triggers can make the difference between meat in camp and going hungry. More than one old-timer understood. A long steel tang provides extra strength where the slender wrist of the stock needs it most. Engineering that's kept these rifles shooting for over 2 centuries. Up front, you'll find a blued steel sight with a 1/8-inch blade, thick enough to see in failing light, thin enough not to obscure your target. The rear sight follows that classic adjustable buckhorn style that served generations of shooters. I've packed one of these Lyman rifles for decades now, many a modern frontiersman might declare. I recommended it to my closest friends, and none of them had any complaints. It's a proper muzzle loader. Looks right, feels right, shoots right. For the money, Lyman's Great Plains rifle delivers exceptional value wrapped in authentic frontier looks. She ain't trying to be something she's not. No plastic parts, no modern shortcuts, no compromise with tradition. Just honest iron and walnut built the way the Hawken brothers would have approved. This is the rifle that would have felt at home in Jim Bridger's hands, that could have accompanied Jedediah Smith into the mountains, that might have dropped buffalo for Bill Cody before he became famous. It represents an era when a man's rifle was his lifeline, his tool, his companion through territories where civilization was just a rumor and survival depended on powder, lead, and steady nerves.